When I first got involved in the commissioning project with Sport England and Cloa, I think there was a realisation that Oldham needed to do something different. The work it had done in the past had not really made a difference. The fact is that we had a population in Oldham that was still very inactive. First of all, we needed to influence the influencers, and that was a real key point to the project. If we weren't able to influence the influencers, we felt that we couldn't make a difference. The first person that I needed to influence was the cabinet member. The cabinet member was fully engaged very early in the project because she understood the benefit of being active and also the cost of inactivity in Oldham. On top of that, we also then had to engage with our senior leadership within the council, and that included the chief executive, the director of health and wellbeing, and the director of public health. What was really critical is that we had to map the landscape and then produce information for people so they could understand the real benefits and the wider benefits of being active, particularly on health. One of the critical points of the project was we ran a physical activity summit. Within that summit, we engaged a wide partnership. So the chief executive was really critical in inviting around 40 top leaders from the borough, which included people from the CCG, the police, housing sector, voluntary sector, GPs, the local voluntary sports sector and the leisure trust. And we invited them to the physical activity summit, firstly to demonstrate the benefit of physical activity, but also for them to work out how they could improve the situation around people becoming more active and physically active in the borough. We had some fantastic success with some of the pledges that were made on the day. So from a GP who pledged to do a clinical trial on the benefits of physical activity from some of her patients, to a housing provider who pledged to do a whole range of physical activity programs across their estate to improve the health and well-being of the residents. So that would things like running clubs, walking clubs, directing their residents into leisure activities. We also had some other pledges around healthy workforce, in particular being able to demonstrate the benefit of being active and a correlation between that and sickness levels, increased productivity in the workforce. I think what's really critical about the commissioning project is that we have formed some key successes, in particular getting the wider partnership to understand the benefits of being physically active. Not just from an economic perspective, but also from a personal and a wider business sector perspective as well. Stronger relationships have definitely been established, in particular with our CCG and in particular with the Health and Wellbeing Board. People have paid a real interest in understanding the outcome of the Oldham pledges. People understand the cost of inactivity in Oldham. They understand that actually if we could get people more active, that would reduce the burden on the authority. Not just from the council perspective, but the wider partnership, the NHS, the CCG, the housing providers, the police. What's really important is that in Oldham that people can make the difference by becoming more active, particularly as we have a cooperative borough. People have got to do their bit, so it's everyone has to do their bit to become more active. So what's next for Oldham? We would like to build on the pledges. We need to keep chasing those pledges up, making sure people have done what they said they're going to do. Secondly, what's been recognised is that actually, for the whole of sport and physical activity, is that we need somewhere, a central point where people can access what's going on. And we'll do that through a web-based programme where people can just log on and look what's going on. Another thing that we're doing is to move this project further on is to try to understand those people who are inactive in the borough. So using the information we've got to understand where we've got pockets of inactivity. Why are people inactive? What would make a difference to them, and how can we get them to become more active? Another thing that we're doing is making sure that we have all the information up to date and collected on a central point. So we're creating a data dashboard, in particular for our cabinet members, so they can see our journey and what we're delivering and how we're improving in our physical activity levels. A real key message would be to influence the influencers, to make sure that you have those conversations with the leaders of the sector. Make sure that you can demonstrate to them the benefits of being physically active and what difference it can make to their organisation. The commissioning project has really made a difference in the borough. It's allowed us to engage particularly with a wider sector and, more importantly, engaged our cabinet members.